Good evening. Welcome back. I'm Lee Anderson, and welcome to our second in a series of debates this election season. Tonight, we're joined by the four candidates running for Redmond mayor: Ed Fitch, Ben Schimmoller, J. Patrick, and Charles Baer. Now, before the show, we drew names to see who would go first. J. Patrick won. He'll get us started with opening remarks. J. Patrick, you have 1 minute.
Hello there. Hi, my name, of course, J. Patrick. I'm running for the mayor of Redmond, and I've been on council 24 years, and I've gotten to see a lot of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I believe after this much time, I have a pretty good idea of what the good stuff is, and that's what I want to bring to the city of Redmond. Redmond's a great place to raise a family and grow up in. We need strong financial management in the city of Redmond. Someone who's going to seek the priorities. And those priorities for me are police and safety, roads, transportation, water, sewer, economic development, the airport, and to partner with the schools in Redmond and provide safe schools for our kids. Kids are paramount. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ed Fitch, you have 1 minute, sir.
Thank you, Lee, and welcome, Oregon, to our debate. I'm running for mayor for a couple of major reasons. One is it's become apparent we need a more open council. We need one that's willing to discuss all issues that impact the community. And that's been lacking over the past few years. So if I'm elected, I will be insisting that we have those discussions with the community to arrive at community-based solutions for all the issues that affect our community. The second reason is next year we'll have a relatively new council. Most of the council will only have 2 years or less experience. I was city attorney for 19 years. I was a mayor. I'm on the city council now. I've worked on commissions and committees for the city over the past few years. And more importantly, or as importantly, I've been in private business in Redmond for 40 years. I worked with individuals and private businesses, and I can bring a good balance to the city council because of that experience.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Ben, you're up next.
Thanks for having me here tonight. So I'm Ben Schimmoller, running for Redmond mayor. I used to serve as the legislative director for State Senator Tim Knope, and in that time I built a working relationship with many members of the Redmond community, focusing a lot on bringing infrastructure funding and working on the projects, looking ahead to the issues facing Redmond in the next decade to come. I'm very focused on the long-term success of Redmond, the opportunity to raise a family, because I think if we don't work to manage the growth that we're seeing in Redmond by proper planning and investment, Redmond won't be the place that we've come to know and hold dear and value for family, small business, and local success. So balancing that structured growth is going to be extremely important. I'm the one with the most experience working to bring those dollar bills back from Salem and D.C. to keep our taxes down and our investment high. I plan on sticking to that commitment and seeing Redmond maintain a great place for the community for years to come.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Charles Webster Baer, 1 minute, sir.
I'd like to thank KTVZ for having this debate, and I'd like to thank my three opponents for running for mayor. My name is Charles Baer, and I'm running for mayor of Redmond, Oregon. Please vote for me. Thank you very much. I'm a libertarian, which means I'm for less government and more freedom. And if I am elected mayor of Redmond, my main focus and my main priority will be environmentalism. And I think the voters of Redmond, Oregon have a great opportunity to lead the world by example on the two most important political issues of this millennium. Number one being environmentalism, and number two being transparency, government fiscal transparency. And so I look forward to working with those ideas, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Time now to get to our questions, our first questions. We'll start with you, Mr. Fitch, as we're going to rotate around here on the table. Ed Fitch, your first question is, with growth comes big projects in Redmond's future, of course. What are those, and how do you pay for them?
Well, one of the major projects we have is Highway 97, and there are solutions to that. ODOT has already committed millions of dollars to improving that corridor. We're also looking at alternatives to ease the congestion on 97 there by an alternate route on the east side of 97. I've worked on major projects in Redmond for many, many years. I spearheaded the project on getting the reroute done on Highland Glacier, the Maple Avenue Bridge. So I have a lot of experience in putting together a coalition of the city, regional partners, and working with Salem and Washington, D.C. to get the funds that we need to pay for those projects. Obviously, we also have projects at the airport, water and sewer. Those are challenging financially, but we do have a plan on how to solve that and accommodate the growth that we know we're going to see.
All right, very good, sir. We'll move down the row now. Ben, the same question to you. With growth comes big projects. What are they? How do you pay for them?
So there's going to be several important ones. Redmond needs to maintain the water sewage treatment center. It's going to cost about $70 million. The new airport terminal update, it's about a $200 million price tag. And in addition to the bond that was just passed for law enforcement, updating the Redmond Police Department, it's about $40 million liability bond. So this is where I really believe I can be a great servant for Redmond. My years of experience working in the legislature, my connections in Salem and D.C., I will advocate and use those connections to fight for those dollar bills to come back here. And you know, this is experience I've already done for Redmond behind the scenes, projects I've worked on with former Mayor George Endicott, brought a water well infrastructure back that saved taxpayers millions of dollars and keeps our water clean and potable. So it's going to be really important to look for opportunities like that and building family wage jobs that increase our tax base laterally so that families can support their community without feeling the pinch of taxes going up.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Same question to you, Charles Baer. Big projects, what are they? How do you pay for them?
President Biden has allocated a large amount of money for infrastructure projects, and I believe that could be used very well in Redmond, Oregon for many different projects. Number one would be a massive expansion of the airport towards the east. Another one would be a massive transport hub north of the airport. And another one would be a bypass, both for light rail and for highway, going on the east side of 97, Terrebonne, Alfalfa, Sun River. And I think that these are some of the many large projects that would help improve all of Central Oregon. And I believe that the money is there on a federal level, and I would look forward to moving forward with those projects and many others.
All right, very good, sir. Mr. Patrick, same question to you, sir.
Yes, we have four major projects lined up right now. I was on the board that picked the person that would, or the group that would get the airport terminal going as a five-phase and $200,000 project. We have the voter-approved police safety building. It's already has the money to build it. We just need to get started and get it built. We have the sewer plant that needs to be built because we've outgrown the past one, the mechanical plant we have now, and that one will be most likely a wetlands project and lasts longer, $70 million. So that's been DEQ'd. And the Highway 97 is the last project, and that, again, ODOT has agreed to the funding on that, and we just have to get it built.
All right, very good, sir. Each of you now, we've determined, will have 30 seconds. You can rebut or you can add on to what you had to say, and so we'll start with you, Mr. Fitch.
Thank you. Very quickly, on these projects and how you get federal and state money, the important thing is what you do. That is, what is the project? Do you build a community consensus? Do you build regional partners? And then how you do it. What's the timing? It's not who you know, because people in Salem, people in Washington, D.C. change all the time. It's how you do it is critical. And I've had the experience of doing it. I've had the experience of successfully bringing a lot of money back to Redmond from both Washington, D.C. and Salem.
All right. Ben Schimmoller, 30 extra seconds on this topic.
So I would agree that it's important how you do it, but also who you know. And I have been doing this for years as well, working on Redmond's behalf by helping secure those funds in the legislature, as well as a staffer for one of the ranking members, and also for one of the members of the Ways and Means Committee. So I'm not only familiar with the process, but also the people as well as local stakeholders. So I think that there's an opportunity to be tapped and have a fresh voice also bringing those concerns for future projects that will be needed for Redmond as we grow.
All right. Charles Baer.
Two more ideas on infrastructure. One, sidewalks on both sides of 97 throughout Redmond. And number two, a very large Redmond Parks and Rec department with a lot of parking on Klein Falls on the north side of the highway. Thank you very much.
Very good. Okay, Jay Patrick, an additional 30 seconds on this topic.
Sure. The funding for the airport is the hardest to get. There's 5 years of $100,000 you can apply for every year for that. And our airport director has pretty much thinks that we will get at least one of those, if not both of those, in the 5 phases. So, good to go.
Okay. Time now for question number 2 on the evening. Are you ready for this one? We'll begin with you, Ben. Homelessness is a problem everywhere. Okay, what do you do about the homeless in Redmond?
So there's going to be a lot of things we have to do. There's no silver bullet, but it's important to work with local stakeholders, from nonprofits to working with the new Tri-County government agency, because the city is not necessarily budgeted or tasked with many social issues, but it has to deal with the forefront of the impacts of homelessness. We also have to look at private sector solutions, enabling opportunities for development, controlled managed growth, for new housing options, for entry-level housing opportunities. And I actually participated in one of these projects in the legislature, helped work on a Skyline Village project, which will bring 485 housing units to Redmond. And part of these are deed restricted so that they're priced specifically for lower median income opportunities, so people can enter the market or find stable renting opportunities. And it's going to be important then to also, again, work with these government agencies and nonprofits to partner with them, groups like Bethlehem Inn, Safe Parking, Central Oregon Veterans Outreach, as well as the county, to coordinate resources to help improve mental health addition and improve the situation.
All right, very good. Same question to you, Charles Baer. What do you do about the homeless in Redmond?
Number one, this is a problem that gets worse every year, so it may not have a solution. Number two, this is not a police issue, and so I would support the police in however they choose to act or not act on this issue. Number three, I feel that homeless people in Oregon receive enough aid and benefits. Therefore, I will never say that I think homeless people in Oregon need more aid or more benefits. Number four, if we subsidize housing, which we do, I feel people who are employed and have jobs should be at the head of that subsidized housing list. And number five, and this is really what it's all about, is the law. And as mayor of Redmond, I would uphold the law, but I would also work to change it, because the law now states that Redmond is responsible for providing shelter to anybody who shows up. And I don't think that law is sustainable. So I will uphold the law, but I will also work to change that.
All right, very good. Jay Patrick?
Yeah, the Ninth Circuit Supreme Court made a determination on the 8th Amendment, which kind of holds the feet to the fire of the city of Redmond. It gives us a lot to do and not a lot of money or means to take care of it. And so the homelessness issue is large. We have, we as a city have Skyline Village, which we got going with the county, 40 acres, free land, so that's a 50-50 mix of affordable housing and mixed price housing. There's the Downtown Urban Renewal District is always going after projects that allow affordability for housing, and I support them all along. Bethlehem Inn, another thing, I supported that one. So we got Safe Parking program is the last one that's going on, and I support that. So
very good. Ed Fitch, you have 1 minute on this topic.
Well, the present council has been abysmal on homelessness. Homelessness is a complex issue. There are different kinds of homeless people. There's those who are addicted to drugs, those people who prefer to be homeless, but there's also a large section of people who have fallen through the cracks economically and want help, want to get bootstrapped up into housing, and those are the people that we really need to help. Safe parking, the council's given lip service to it. There are city properties that are available to do the safe parking on. We need to be much more aggressive on it. We have about 30 RVs on city streets. There's a lot of conflict between neighboring properties and those RVs. We're now seeing them more in the residential area. It's becoming worse and worse, and we need to be more proactive on it. We have hundreds of volunteers in our community that need our help. And so far, this council, and I hope the future has not done it, I hope the future council will.
Okay, all right, very good. Time for a rebuttal on that, or 30 additional seconds. Ben Schimmoller, you get started.
So one of my opportunities I had serving as a staffer was when the COVID shutdowns happened and people lost their jobs. There was an unbelievably large amount of people impacted by losing their jobs, and I spent many hours trying to help them get their unemployment benefits. We need to help build an economy that's more robust, that can sustain more shutdown opportunities, to build these family wage jobs, to help build that generational wealth, to help build that opportunity for stable housing and that economic balance that will empower people to not only help themselves but balance and strengthen our community.
All right. 30 seconds for you, Charles Baer.
Well, like I was saying, the law, I feel, doesn't make any sense, so I'll work to change it. I'll work to change the law so that Redmond is not responsible for providing shelter for anybody who just shows up. And I will work to change the law so that homeless people can't, it's illegal for them to trespass or to park RVs on the street or to camp out on the sidewalk or to do those things.
Okay. J. Patrick, 30 seconds additional for this.
Yeah, I like to say that there are different types of homelessness. People who prefer it, who want to live that way, people who are drug addicted, people who are mentally ill, and people who are financially in straits. A couple of those we can help, a couple of those we can't. I think the state made a terrible move when they closed down the mental institutes, and so we need to get back to that.
All right. Ed Fitch.
Again, it's a complex subject. You got child care issues, you got employment issues, you got housing issues. For the next council, we need someone experienced to deal with these issues and move the city forward quickly. You can't have an inexperienced person at the helm. I believe I can bring that experience of over 40 years in this community. I know Redmond. I know how we can get a dialogue going and find solutions that will fit our community.
Okay, very good. We're ready for question 3 already, gentlemen, and it's kind of a related question. The median price of a home in Redmond is now more than $500,000. So what are your plans for affordable housing? We start with Charles Webster Baer on this one.
Well, affordable housing and the homeless issue obviously are intertwined a great deal. When I look around at Redmond, I see us building housing as fast as we possibly can, which is good, but I don't know how I can make it go any faster. I support affordable housing. I support building apartments, and I support subsidizing people who are having trouble paying for their housing. And basically what this comes down to is zoning for affordable housing, and also making sure that the developers who are developing Redmond are forced to develop a certain amount of affordable housing units. So it's a legal issue, and I would always be for affordable housing on every level. Thank you.
All right. J. Patrick, we'll move down to the end of the table for you on this question.
Sure. I think one of the best things that's happened to the city of Redmond over the past couple of years is the Skyline Village project, the 40 acres of free land that the city is in control of and can make houses actually affordable rather than just have that tag name, which is not really there. And so that's the where I think the city can make the quickest effort and be the best at solving an issue with several hundred houses. And beyond that, we need to keep working with our developers to keep planned developments happening and make affordable housing come about that way.
All right, very good, sir. Ed Fitch, same question to you.
Again, Skyline Village is a great example of how we can implement that. And the lesson that we can learn there is the best way to ensure affordable rents or affordable pricing on homes is when you have a public-private partnership. Public will own the land will be deed restricted on rents, on the price of housing for a certain period of time. Developers will be able to then build these things, still make a profit, but will enable to ensure that those apartments, those homes, remain affordable for at least 10 years. And I think that's the best way. There are opportunities for the city to have that land available. Even downtown, there's going to be opportunities to have that land available for that kind of partnership. And that's going to be the one that will ensure best that we have the affordable housing, particularly for people who are working in the hospitals and the schools and entry wage job situations.
All right, very good, sir. Ben Schimmoller.
So in addition to the Skyline Village project that's been discussed here, I also think it's important that we look at opportunities at balancing managed infrastructure growth. One problem that Bend has had in its growth is that it was so eager for investment in infrastructure that it seemingly didn't match its infrastructure growth with its housing unit growth. It's going to be very important for Redmond's long-term costs and affordable housing balance costs to keep those infrastructure units up to date, such as roads, sewers, so that long-term investments as we continue to grow will be sustainable and balanced, and we can have houses that are built that can still drop below that median home price and be accessible for more members of the population. That's going to be super important in terms of our long-term growth, as well as in creating more private partnerships with developers and reforming Oregon's land use laws, advocating at the state level for more local control and opportunities so that we can control our own destiny as a city.
All right, very good, sir. Rebuttal time on this question. 30 seconds. Charles Baer.
Okay, so like I already said, it's a zoning issue. We need to zone for affordable housing. And it's also, we need to force the developers to create affordable housing or we won't let them build, period. So it's on us to make it legally viable and force the developers to only, that they have to make so much affordable housing or they can't develop.
All right. J. Patrick, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Yeah, as mayor, I'd like to continue that conversation at the table with developers so that we can get a planned development that will happen that will be more affordable. We've got to work with that with our SDCs. We've got to work with several things that we can touch, but we don't in the end build the houses. So we have to work with the developers to make that happen.
Very good, sir. Ed Fitch.
I'll just say on infrastructure, no community, I think, in Oregon has been more aggressive and more progressive on ensuring that we have as much infrastructure growth as we can. Transportation in particular is always going to lag behind housing. It's just the nature of the game. But we have plans. We have public discussions all the time. We are expanding our sewer. We are expanding our water. We do have plans on transportation to meet the growth that we have. I really think the issue is these public-private partnerships.
Very good, sir. Ben Schimmoller.
We need to look also at outside-the-box ideas with businesses that come in to Central Oregon and Redmond and look at what they can bring in terms of potentially operating a small apartment complex for workforce housing, employee options first for opportunities like that. Too many businesses in Redmond, such as BASX, have to suffer through having their employees not live in the community they work in despite having good paying jobs and opportunities like that. So finding options that help outside of the box and building partnerships beyond just groups besides the developers will be critical.
All right, very good, sir. Ready for question number 4 now, gentlemen. Redmond voters said no to marijuana dispensaries in the past. But in light of how much revenue this generates, is it time to rethink that, to go back on that and take another look at it? And we'll begin with you, J. Patrick.
Sure. Marijuana was voted in Redmond, lost by 1,000 votes or thereabouts a few years ago. I'm not necessarily in favor of bringing that back to a vote at this time. I know we follow federal law, and that in our business license, and that holds marijuana as a drug. And so we cannot have a business in town of a marijuana shop. And so until that changes, until the federal government changes, that's the way it's going to stand as far as business license. I don't think we lose that much money. I really don't. When the state passed the 110 decriminalization of drugs, they also took away some money from the city that had marijuana shops. So I don't think there's a great loss of dollars.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Same question to you, Mr. Fitch.
I do think it's time to revisit that issue, and I've said so in the past. This is an issue where there's a number of people in Redmond who legally can obtain marijuana. Right now they have to drive to Madras or Bend. The city of Redmond loses that revenue. I totally understand people like Jay who are not in favor of it, but I think it's a balancing act. Can we get in a situation where we can have a couple dispensaries, just like we have liquor stores in Redmond, one on the north side and one on the south side? But we have to have a discussion with the community, and this council has refused to even discuss the issue. And I'm hoping that the next council will have that discussion with the community and find out what is the best for Redmond. Should we have a couple of dispensaries and allow those people who are legally partaking with marijuana, just like people with alcohol? Do they have to drive to Bend? Do we lose revenue? Bend made millions of dollars of revenue off of the marijuana sales over the past few years. We made zero.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Ben, your thoughts on this?
So when it comes to revenue from marijuana, first of all, I respect the will of the voters, and it would take an act of the voters, I think, to change that as it stands now. And more so, Redmond really won't see much tax money. As of now, 17% is collected by the states in a cannabis sale for taxes, and of that 17% that's collected, 10% may be allocated back to cities, and that's not even a guarantee that those tax funds would even come back to Redmond or any city in particular. On top of that, the cities had the option to add a 3% tax on top of that during that, and instead voters opted to block it. So there really isn't the revenue-making opportunity for Redmond that there is in Bend, and so I think that there's, a misnomer and a misunderstanding about the revenue opportunities. And even we've tried to see reform happen with how funding is distributed at the state level to local municipalities and agencies. There's been serious pushback and a lack of reform to do that. So I think for all those reasons that we really won't see much financial benefit from it.
All right. Charles Webster Baer, your thoughts on that?
I think that the majority of Redmond residents want marijuana dispensaries in Redmond. I want marijuana dispensaries in Redmond. I think that marijuana will become federally legal next year. I think there's a lot of money to be made, online sales, offline sales, production. I feel that the people of Oregon should be allowed to grow as much marijuana as they want. I also support the legalization of magic mushrooms, and I support the legalization of peyote. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity here for Oregonians to make a lot of money selling these things online and offline, and I think it's going to happen. And I think the sooner it happens, the better for everybody. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll go back down to the start of this question. Jay, you have 30 seconds.
Okay. What it comes down to is what the voters want. And I agree with Charles. I think it's a very good chance that federal law or the way they look at marijuana as a drug will change. If that does happen, it will go back to the voters, and the voters will have a chance to determine what they would like in Redmond.
Okay, all right. Mr. Fitch.
Again, why we are unable to discuss these things at the council level, invite public participation, is beyond me. It's an issue that comes up every time I talk to people in a campaign. They ask, why don't we have dispensaries? It's a question that should be to the council, and they should have a public hearing on it and determine what is best for Redmond. There is revenue to be obtained, but the primary reason would be, is this something that we should allow some citizens to enjoy in our community when it is legal?
Okay.